Okay, so this is my why that a lot of people have been asking to hear. A lot of people have heard me do this up on stage. So here it is recorded. I'm going to read it out. So it's taken a lot of courage, but here is my typed up why, my story, my journey. People always ask me why I'm so passionate to help other people build this for themselves. So here is the reason. Thank you to those who have shared theirs with me privately and those who have posted theirs. You've given me the courage to share mine, and I hope it helps with others to share theirs privately or publicly in your own time, should you so wish. Okay, so my why. Let me take you back a little to paint the picture of how Arbonne found me. So I arrived wailing into this world, one of the ugliest babies I've ever seen in my life, my mum said. As a 16-year-old mother, I don't blame her one bit that she wasn't prepared for how her life was about to change. We grew up on a council estate in a run-down council house, no environment I would ever want to go back to. My mum had another baby very soon after me, so 2 young children under 2 was, I'm sure, incredibly hard work, but she managed to juggle bar work and got through as best she could. My dad was in and out of prison most of my upbringing, and he was always in the pub, constantly. We only saw him occasionally, but we would be taken to the pub with him and had to sit quietly until it was time to go back home. I was brought up with what a lot of people I've met along the way have experienced, the constant being put down. I was very much brought up to believe that I wouldn't amount to much in life, and this led on through my school life. I was reminded often, hearing teachers over talk about me, that I wasn't the brightest of girls, I wasn't the most confident of people, and there was conversations I overheard many a time that I would end up just another statistic teen mum pregnancy, living on benefits, which is rife in our local town. I was programmed, like many, to never leave my comfort zone and never try to do anything more than what I was worth. So this was what was embedded into me. At 16, I decided that I'd had enough. I was sick of being reminded constantly of how little I was worth and that my opinion wasn't appreciated in any way, shape or form. I packed up the little belongings that I had and I moved out. I did, however, continue my GCSEs and A-levels with flying colours. While studying my A-levels, to pay my house bills, I worked as hard as I could, in a bar in the evenings, as a cleaner in the daytime where possible, and I found myself working as a care assistant. I was desperate to prove I could be somebody someday. While I loved my job as a care assistant, I found that I was becoming too attached to people that I cared for, and as they passed on, I couldn't deal with the loss. I had to make the decision to leave a job I loved because of this. I found myself next working at an optician's. Wow, I found my feet well and truly here. I was learning, I was growing, there was potential to improve my own skills and grow in the company. I made friends for the first time, I had a social life, and I loved it. A couple of years into my optician's career, and something happened that changed the entire course of my life. I was badly physically attacked by someone I considered a friend, and then began a whirlwind of investigations, police, the hearsay, and I absolutely crumbled into a shell of myself. This led me into having a nervous breakdown. I felt like all of my life I'd been made to feel like I should never ever get too big for my boots, and here I was getting too big for my boots, living on my own, paying my own bills, and growing into a career that I loved. And I was not back down to the ground again, where I felt like I belonged. It took me a long, lengthy process to grow from this incident in my life. It sparked depression, anxiety, paranoia. I felt very much like I needed to keep a lid on my life and never try to become something more than I was meant to be. Keep my head down, go to work, pay my bills, and return home. It took me around 2 years of living like this in a complete shell of my former self before I began to find some confidence to venture out and about again. And I'm so thankful that I did, because I found my husband. A guy I'd known from school. I bumped into him, we got chatting, exchanged phone numbers, and I plucked up the courage to let him take me to the cinema for Easter. Life began to pick up, and this man started to make me feel once again that maybe, just maybe, I did deserve a little bit more in life. We had a great relationship and things were fun. I started to experience life again, and I made the most amazing memories with him. But we were hit with a bombshell one day when I had taken yet another trip to the doctors, complaining that something wasn't right, to be told I was pregnant. I wasn't sure how this could be, as I had the contraceptive implant in my arm, but the news after that shook my entire world. They had discovered a problem with the 2009 batch that had failed hundreds of women in the UK, and one was in me. Furthermore to that, it was still inside me with this new growing life. I was immediately taken to have it out and to go home and come to terms with being a mum completely before I was ready to be. My partner Ian finally found some courage to tell his parents that he would be a parent at only 23, and we weren't even living together at this point. Life all of a sudden got very real, so we grew up fast. We moved into a beautiful home together and we prepared to be parents. I went to work at the opticians one day and I found myself in chronic agony. I phoned my midwife, who said, "Get to the hospital straight away." Ian came to me and we drove over in panic, and after being examined we were told that we had lost our baby that we had so proudly managed to get our heads around that was coming. Saying we were devastated does not even come close. It broke our world. And as you can imagine, here I was once again being put down in my place, trying to get too big for my boots. Thought I could be a good mum. There was a greater force out there really ensuring that I would never amount to anything. As I broke down and spent a good amount of time just in bed crying constantly and not sure where I had a purpose in life, why was I even here, life became unbearable. I found myself further and further into depression. While I was feeling sorry for myself, time passed and I had to return to the hospital again a few months later with abdominal pain. Upon investigation, I was told the baby we had lost was a twin and there was another healthy little baby growing inside of me. Shocked, stunned, and absolutely flabbergasted. How on earth was I going to be a mum? I was suffering a breakdown again and I couldn't do this. I spent the remainder of my pregnancy in denial, suffering with sickness, depression, and resenting myself for even being alive, and now bringing someone else into this world. I trapped myself into the house, too afraid to go anywhere. I had no clue how I was going to ensure this baby had anything because I had absolutely nothing to give it, nothing, and I was reminded of this throughout my life. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I was told what I felt was even more devastating news. Not only could I give this child nothing, I couldn't even give her an actual birth. I had to be booked in for a section because I couldn't even manage to make sure that she was the right way to be delivered. Being in the breech position meant no other option but a booked C-section. So I miserably went in on the date they'd given me. I didn't feel overwhelmed. I didn't feel that insane love a mother feels for her bump. I just felt sorry for this child who would come into this world and be given to me. On Friday, August the 6th at 10:06 a.m, everything changed. I can't put into words, but I was given this incredibly precious, wonderful little baby, and I felt the most intense, enormous love that I'd ever felt in my entire life. I was a mummy, and it didn't matter what I had, it was all about what I could give to her from now on. This baby changed me, and she changed everything that she brought to my life. Farah was born, and at that moment, so was I. Danni Wells, or Bloxham, then as was my maiden name. I came alive to the world. I took my baby home. I was so proud, and I promised her that she would have the best life that I could give her, and that it wouldn't matter anymore who told me that I couldn't, because it wasn't about what others thought that I could do. It was all about what I thought I could do, and with this child in my life, I could do anything for her. I devoted my time to motherhood, and when she was around 1, I returned to work part-time at the opticians. I juggled motherhood and working mum, and we had a blast. Life was great. I helped make a support page on Facebook for other mummies. I threw myself into helping mums with breastfeeding and helping antenatal classes. I threw myself into everything baby related that I could. I doted on my daughter, and my friends commented on how much she'd changed my world. So we decided to have another baby. We fell pregnant quickly, and I enjoyed this pregnancy, and I set myself high expectations that I would give this pregnancy everything. I would birth naturally, she would enter into this world drug-free with no pain relief, and I would give her absolutely every last breath that I had. On Saturday the 10th of March, after a 3-day labour, I managed to naturally bring into this world Miss Ivana Wells. Wow. A second precious, beautiful little baby. I was as proud as they come. Wow, she really was something else. When they say you grow more love the more children you have, they are right. You suddenly have much more love to go around, and I felt like the luckiest person alive. I had 2 healthy, happy, incredible girls. However, our happiness was short-lived as something wasn't right. Ivana was rushed off into intensive care with many conditions, in simple terms, a brain hemorrhage and a stroke. Our precious, naturally born, tiny little baby with tiny toes and tiny fingers was now sitting on a life support in an incubator being pumped with drugs to keep her alive. A small part of me died that day. That day we were told to say goodbye to our baby and that she wouldn't survive the night. History was repeating itself and it was all my fault. My innocent, precious baby was feeling the effects of me getting too big for my boots again. Torn between losing my new baby girl and then having to leave Farah, who had barely spent any time away from me, was horrendous. I felt torn, split in two, helpless, and that I couldn't possibly be good at anything if I couldn't even protect my children and keep them happy and healthy. Ivana, however, stunned all medical knowledge globally of her condition. She fought, which had never happened before. She fought really hard, and on top of that, she got a little better each day she was in hospital. Eventually, tubes keeping her alive were reduced, and she began to keep herself alive. We were given stern words from the consultant that our daughter would never live a typical normal life, and that she probably wouldn't gain much enjoyment from anything, and would need round-the-clock, full-time care forever. We would have to come to terms with the severe brain damage she has, and face that she wouldn't communicate with us, talk, or enjoy a life like we thought. My thoughts were this: if I have to give every last piece of me, my daughter will have the very, very, very best life she can possibly have. You cannot say that because someone can't walk or talk or take responsibility for their own care, that means their life will be meaningless or lacking happiness. Someone fired up my belly, and that was it. My mission began. The programme I'd been given all of my life to keep myself to myself, get up and go to work, do my job quietly and respectfully, and never ask for anything more than I'm worth. Go home, cook, clean, go to bed, and do all of that all over again until I'm ready to retire at 75. No, this was not going to be one, how I would lead my life, or two, how I would inspire my children. No way. So when we took our daughter home, I gave her everything that I could, and I'm thrilled to say that although she does have more appointments a week than I have hot dinners, she has an amazing life. Much, may I add, is thanks to what came into my life when she was 2. I was being my daughter's full-time carer and getting on with life as best I could, and ensuring she was at every appointment that would help her, driving from hospital to hospital in 3 different cities, and being at every home appointment with her, as well as making as many fun memories for her and Farah. But because I wasn't growing as a person anymore, I was smack bang in the middle of my comfort zone, unfulfilled, not learning anything new or doing anything to push me or motivate me, and I was depressed, well and truly on the inside depressed, and that led in time to anxiety and paranoia, sadness. Seeing others driven and passionate and happy, why couldn't I be like that? Why couldn't I have something in my life like that? It felt unfair, and this led to feeling even more unhappy and worthless. However, one day I stumbled across a Facebook post one of my mummy friends, Emma, had written, declaring that she worked from home now and was able to build up an income around her children. Wow. We were financially crippled since I left work, and Ian had to increase his work days to 7 days a week just to make ends meet. And then, even then, ends weren't even meeting. We were in massive debt and struggling with how many days in each month there were compared to the paycheck Ian received each month. Income, around my children, I needed to know more. I drove over to speak to Emma, as she lived about half an hour away from me. She told me that she'd joined a network marketing company and asked if I'd ever heard of it. No, I said. She asked if I'd heard of Arbonne. Nope. She asked if I knew about all of the chemicals and nasties that companies put into our products. Again, I didn't really know what she was going on about, and none of it made any sense to me. But she said, if I teach this to 2 people and they teach this to 2 people, I have 4 more people in my network, and that is time leverage and residual income in all of its glory. Wow. Didn't have a clue what this Arbonne thing was, or what network marketing whatever was. But she was right. 2 times 2 is 4, and I absolutely knew 2 people who for sure would do this, and I'd get paid. Yay, I was in. I left her house with a book called Own Your Life, and off I went, ready to tell my 2 friends who would definitely do this. I went to tell Jenna, and she said no. So I went to tell Sean, and she also said no. Okay, so I was a bit stuck then, because I had a vision in my head. I'd be on stage talking to hundreds of people about this, and I couldn't even have 2 of the definite people in my life say yes to this. Didn't they get that 2 times 2 equals 4? Back to the drawing board. As I had such an enormous desire to finally make something of myself, to prove to my husband's friends and family, who all thought I was just a bit of a silly girl, who ought to really just get on with cooking and cleaning and never tried to do anything more, I was stuck in a position of, do I give up on my dream to prove to myself and others that people who want more can have more despite their programming, and to provide a life for my daughters, give Ivana the best medical care throughout her life she would need without money being an issue? Do I just let this opportunity fly past me and then watch in a couple of years' time others get it? And the answer was no. No, I wouldn't. Because one, I didn't even know what network marketing was. I didn't get it myself, and I knew nothing about Arbonne other than I quite liked the primer that I'd bought. That was it. I was going to empower my life and step out of my comfort zone and bloody well learn some new skills until I felt that if I wasn't me, I would definitely join my team for sure. I was also sure that if I got better, all of the people who said no to me would then be given the chance to see that this does work. It wasn't their fault that I was so rubbish at explaining this business to them, and I'd spoiled their chance to get it because I was so terrible at talking about this business. So that was it. My mission began to get good, to go back to the people that I'd burnt the bridge of and tell them I'd proven it worked, I'd got better, and I was ready to teach them how to do the same. I followed my upline around like crazy, and I listened to everything. Audios became daily habits in the background, car, in the bath, while cleaning, while cooking, while falling asleep. I swapped my books to personal development ones. I knew I was going all guns blazing, and I told others, look, you don't have to put in as much effort as me, but I need to do this fast because I have to prove to people this does work. And I need to ensure I have a solid business in case I'm rushed into hospital with Ivana. I need to make sure that my team know what to do without me. I was present at everything, absolutely everything. Every blaze me and Ivana went along to. In the evenings, I'd put my girls to bed. I'd leave them with Daddy so that I could be there. I was soaking up information left, right, and centre. I watched YouTube recordings, Zoom recordings, listened to SoundCloud recordings. I soaked up what on earth this network marketing thing was, and I got it, which meant once I got it, I could teach it to others. I got why Arbonne. I was seeing myself by using the products myself, why people chose Arbonne over anything else in the entire world. I got it. I got it even more when it cured my children's eczema. I got why this industry is so powerful, recession proof, and where it's going. Just got it all. I learned so much that I honestly, hand on heart, felt comfortable enough to say, if I wasn't me, I would join my team for sure. That was enough for me. Then, as if by magic, I attracted people into my business. All of those no's came back to yeses. People who had previously dismissed me, ignored me, and even some who were very rude and nasty about me on Facebook, claiming Danni Wells, she thinks she's the next big-time self-made millionaire entrepreneur, as if someone from our little town will ever do anything like that, especially her. I was mocked and laughed. I've lost friend followers on Facebook in the process, but do you know what? Almost a year has passed. I earn more than they do. I work very, very part-time. I earn money even when I'm rushed into hospital with Ivana. But most of all, I've learned that to be happy, you don't need other people's approval. You just need to approve of yourself. I have an amazing life. I am happy every day when I wake up. I am surrounded by people like-minded who are happy to help me grow. I have a spring in my step everywhere. I have provided a stable business for my daughters. I have enough income that soon my husband can leave his job and set up his own tiling business and be his own boss, meaning when he gets the call to get himself to hospital now with Ivana, he doesn't have to have the argument with his boss about leaving and not being paid. I feel like everyone came into this world the same, but then we all have different options and choices as we grow up. And a lot of us grow up limited and being told or made to think that we have to live a life that doesn't make us want to jump out of bed every morning. We become molded and trained, and that in turn makes us miserable. Some of us, not all of us, but a lot of us. Why can't we have more, do more, be more? For me, I send my daughter to a beautiful school, and when we're invited to her friends' homes, and they are beautiful, big, gorgeous houses with these fantastic cars, and I look around and think, I would love this. And then I stopped wishing and started doing something about it. I can have this if I just do more, become more, and help enough people get to where they want. Then I can have this too. And I can prove that being brought up on a council estate with a single teenage mum and having nothing, working this business from scratch, you absolutely can have this too. I have made something enormous of myself, and I have shown others that you can too. If I can, you can. If you'd asked me a year ago, would I ever inspire anyone, I'd have said absolutely never. Now I have. I've watched a stranger, Jane Brown, grow in my team, grow in confidence. This woman was a serial Facebook moaner. Sorry, Jane. And now she's a serial positive over poster. And I love it. When I first heard Jane get up to do her why, it was a light bulb moment for me with this business. The income is fab, but it isn't the big thing. The big thing is touching someone else's life, being a small part of why they travelled down a different road, and that meant enormous changes for the better for them. I've watched my friend Danielle suffer enormously with personal issues and losing a close loved one to cancer. This girl was on the brink of an enormous breakdown. Arbonne saved her from that. It picked her back up and gave her purpose and something to focus on. Now she's happy every day, and I've had the absolute pleasure to watch people surround me with their stories of where they came from and what Arbonne has meant for them and what it's given them for the future. I will never be more thankful that Arbonne found me, and I can't wait to see in the next 10 years who else joins my network. I will continue to learn, grow, develop, adapt, and help as many other people who want this. Some jump in straight away like I did. Some say no, never, but quietly watch how it works for you. Some say not right now because they don't believe normal people can become self-made millionaires, and they don't believe in the power of network marketing yet. And that's okay. Accept them for where they are, but go and be the proof that they need. Be the proof that in a couple of years' time, they pluck up the courage to say, I want what you have. Please, can you show me how you did it? Some people won't ask you to show them until you have it yourself. Others are happy enough to listen to your vision and your business plan and let you teach it to them while you're still learning yourself. If someone doesn't want you to teach them something you are still learning to, respect them for that and come back to them in 6 months' time. Don't offer this opportunity to someone based on how you think they'll be at it, because on paper, I was a full-time mum and as busy as they come care of my daughter. I had no money, no time, no desire to talk to other people, no confidence, no self-esteem. I had nothing. Why on earth would someone think that I could do this? But someone did. And I'm grateful every day that she asked me. If I found out a friend of mine knew about this whole other world and didn't tell me about it, I would be heartbroken, because knowing how this works has opened up a whole new world for me. I will have the absolute best life I want, regardless to where I've come from. I now have a network of well over 300 consultants and many PCs and clients in our team. I'm having the time of my life, and I'm now programmed to believe that I can be anything I want to be, so long as I believe it and I learn it and I give it the time to happen. I will never be too big for my boots, ever, because now I can afford lots of different boots that will take me anywhere that I want to go. Watch me build a nation, because nothing will ever stop me.